Welcome to the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Lace up those boots and sling on the pack for a romp through trails, short and long. With your host and Renaissance man, Doc. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail. I'm Doc, and this is the John Freakin' Muir Pod. Let's start off with a reminder. If you are enjoying the podcast, take just a minute, help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're not enjoying the pod, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get to this week's content. You know, I was just sitting around a couple of weekends ago, and Chopper texted me a YouTube link out of the blue saying I had to watch this video. It was titled The John Muir Trail and was 54 minutes long, and it was put together by Billy Yang. And it is a high quality video, way better than the stuff that I put together and posted. And so because of his excellent talent scout ability, I've asked Chopper to come back and co-host this episode. Welcome back, Chopper.
Hey, Doc. How you doing tonight?
Good. How about you?
Oh, great. Happy to be back.
Got any more videos for me to watch?
Yeah, but we'll have a separate conversation about those later.
Okay. 10-4. All right. So as I am sitting on the couch watching this great video a couple of weekends ago and reliving our hikes, I find Billy on social media and I send him a message, and lo and behold, he gets right back to me. In fact, before I'm finished watching the entire video, we're well on the path to setting this episode up with Billy and his two companions on the trail, Elon and Gabby. They are all in the virtual John Freakin' Muir Pod studio today. So welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hi. Glad to be here.
We're excited.
Nice. Now, have you guys listened to the John Freakin' Muir Pod before? And it's okay if you haven't. I'm just checking in.
This is actually going to be my first time, but be a new member.
Yeah, I love the John Freakin' Muir Trail, so I'm sure I'll quick to become a fan of the John Freakin' Muir podcast.
Okay. Now, the reason I ask is because we have a regular segment on our episodes called the Pro Tip Insight of the Week. And so I want to give you guys the heads up that as we approach the end of the episode, I will turn to you and say, hey guys, what's your Pro Tip Insight of the Week? What can you share with our listeners? What tip, trick, insight to make their adventure that much better? So just be on the lookout for that. That comes towards the end of the episode.
Sounds good.
You got it.
Okay. Another feature that we've added to season 2 of the John Freakin' Muir Pod is the must bring gear review. And I'm really interested after watching the documentary on YouTube. I want to hear from you guys on what is your must bring piece of gear. If you had to boil it down to just one, someone twisted your arm behind your back and said you could only choose one thing to bring, and then everybody else, we're just going to give you everything else you're going to bring. This is your must-have piece of gear on the trail, and we'll start with Elon. What's your favorite piece of gear?
Get on the spot.
You're gonna say camp chair, right, Elon?
Not a camp chair. I could drop that extra pound. Oh man, honestly, if I had to pick one item, I brought an amazing pair of shorts that I just wore the entire trip. They're Path Projects. It's a friend of ours down in LA that started the company, and they're just so versatile. I'd done a few thru hikes in the past that I'm a runner, so they were more running shorts, and there was some real chafing. And I've seen other more conventional thru hiking stuff that's just it looks to me like it gets very hot. And this was super durable. So my Path Projects, they're called Sykes, 7-inch split shorts, super light. They were great.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. No chafing. You don't want to have chafing. I mean, Billy had enough foot problems on the trail. You can't have chafing on top of that. So.
Exactly.
All right. How about you, Gabby?
Oh man. I'm usually a decisive person, but I had trouble with this one because everything feels so necessary. So I'm going to go completely off the cuff, and I didn't actually bring this on the trail, and I really wish I had. And I think I'm going to get a lot of slack for it, but I would bring my Kindle because I would love to read out there. Are you kidding? During a lunch with a gorgeous view, I think that would have made the trip just that much better.
All right, I did.
You would bring your books on your phone and read them at night, wouldn't you, Doc?
I would, but that was a multi-use device that was had the GPS on it. It had camera on it and had books on it. I didn't expect to hear Kindle as part of the must-bring gear segment.
I mean, what can I say? I'm keeping it interesting.
Doc, I think there should be a caveat of like, if we were to have done this conversation a couple days post hike, there's no way she's carrying the weight of Kindle. But now, 4 or 5 months later, 8 ounces, no problem. I'll carry it.
It's funny, Alon, you said you would get rid of the chair. I would add the chair. I hated sitting on that bucket.
Yeah.
That bear canister, I carry the chair now. It's the extra pound is worth it to me.
Hey, Elon, what do you think it says about us that she wants to read instead of conversing or
Yeah, you and Elon would be sitting around the campfire, and she'd be off, reading her books.
It's clearly more me than you, I think.
We're still happily engaged, just setting the tone here.
All right.
Spoiler alert for the video.
All right, Billy, how about you? Your must-bring piece of gear.
So we're talking beyond the obvious, right? Beyond shelter, beyond
Yeah, I didn't explain it too well in the intro. If everything was going to be generic, if you're going to get a tent, a pack, a sleeping bag, but you had the opportunity to single out, okay, I want this particular piece of gear, what would it be?
Well, I can certainly tell you what not to bring, as evident by the video. But I will say I'll go a little more interesting too, and go electronics as well. I'll go GoPro. I think it's light enough. I think if you have a way to recharge it, or have multiple batteries, or bring multiple packs, or a solar panel, whatever you decide to choose in that realm to recharge it, I think whether you end up sharing it to the masses or whether you end up keeping it for yourself, I think it's something that you want to document, especially an epic trail like the John freaking Muir Trail. And for me, a lot of it was in retelling the story and putting it together. I was just smiling the entire time. I mean, obviously I was wincing at times too because of the condition of my feet, but having a versatile piece of equipment that didn't add too much weight, the stabilization on it is like super high tech now. And it's waterproof. You saw the multiple shots of me jumping into alpine lakes with it. It's just a neat little gadget. And I think, the latest GoPro 9, which is a version up from the one that I brought, is that much better. So yeah, I'll have to say GoPro.
I thought you were going to go with the Tapatio.
Well, now you took my answer for what I was going to, what was
the pro tip?
Yeah, the pro tip, but.
All right, we'll edit that out for later.
No, it's fine. Tapatio is key too. Condiments in general.
Now, Billy, since both you and Gabby mentioned pieces of electronics, did you guys bring a power bank, or did you bring? I thought I saw like a Goal Zero solar charger hanging off of somebody's bag in the video.
That would be mine. Yes, I needed a way to recharge. I brought a point and shoot Sony camera. I brought a GoPro 8, the aforementioned GoPro 8, and my iPhone. So I needed a way. I actually didn't think about this beforehand. After the fact, I saw that some people would just bring 2 battery blocks as a way, instead of dealing with the hassles of a solar panel. But I did bring a Goal Zero. I forget the name of it. It's a rather small Goal Zero that I attached to the top of my pack. It was a bit cumbersome, I'm not gonna lie. Probably if I were to do it all over again, I don't know which route I would take, quite honestly, because battery blocks aren't cheap either. But in terms of form factor and dealing with the wires, it was a bit of a pain at times, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I brought a combo of a Goal Zero solar panel and a 1 battery block.
All right. Very good. Now, before we get too far down the trail, we have a custom here on the pod that we only refer to ourselves by our trail names. So I know that Billy, you got your trail name during the JMT hike. I think Kyle
Yes.
Spicy Data.
Yes. Shout out to Spicy Data.
Shout out to Spicy Data. He gave you the trail name of
Bourdain.
Bourdain.
Yeah, after one of my heroes, and it was not talked about either. But when he gave me Billy Bourdain, I was stoked because I mean the intersection of what makes me tick is anything endurance, outdoors, and food. So I think the JMT actually, the video, I think it captured that fairly well. If I wasn't bitching about my feet, if I wasn't in awe of our scenery, I was usually in awe of something I was consuming. And that's me in a nutshell.
Nice. And now, ladies next. I can't say ladies first because we already went to Bourdain. But Gabby, what was your trail name?
Well, thanks to our good friend Spicy Data, he also betrothed me with my trail name. He gave me the name Tunes, and it's a two-parter. So the first part was I created just this long playlist that I brought on the JMT with me, and I downloaded it on my phone, and so that's what got me over some pretty gnarly passes. And so I just like plug in my headphones and just kind of jam out to myself. And so he liked my music taste, which is eclectic and very old-fashioned, I would say. And then I also managed to bring every flavor of StarKist tuna. If StarKist people are listening and want to sponsor your podcast, I'd be happy to give them like a shout out. But I discovered there is Korean style gochujang tuna, there is sriracha tuna, there is bacon ranch tuna, there's every flavor of tuna StarKist pouch available.
We should have given you the name of Bubba Gump. It sounds like a scene out of Gump when you're just listing all kinds of tuna flavors and delicacies.
Yeah, I mean, either or, but yeah, so Tunes is my nickname.
Nice. Now, judging from your reaction when I said that we only go by trail names here, I cannot wait to hear Elon's trail name and the story behind it.
Well, I definitely, as I mentioned with, wanting to bring shorts, or shorts being my favorite gear item, I liked being light. I didn't like to carry a lot of stuff. And so for a shirt, I had sleeveless shirts, and our buddy Kyle decided to name me SOGO, which stands for Suns Out, Guns Out. And given the fact that I hadn't really stepped into a gym in the last 5 years prior to our trip, I didn't feel like it was a super accurate nickname, but that's the one I got.
Sounds like he got names for all you guys. That was his.
That was how he earned his
contribution.
Nice. Now, SOGO, some hikers go ultralight by the type of gear that they bring, not the amount of clothing or the type of clothing that they wear. So that's an interesting approach.
Although, you can go back to one of our earlier episodes if you have time. We did come across a guy with no clothes on the trail. So,
wow. What about the chafing?
Actually, we nicknamed him Chafe.
There we go.
If you want to go ultralight, that guy was ultralight. Just a backpack and a fanny pack.
We gave him his trail name about half mile after he was past us. So
That's good.
That's a trip.
Nice. All right. So, hey, I have to ask, how did the three of you meet?
That's a great question. Billy, you want to take that one?
Let me see. How did we meet? Well, I definitely met Elon first. Elon, just through, so we're trail runners by practice and hobby. So we have that background, and Elon used to live in Southern California, where I still currently reside. Elon's in Northern California in the Marin area. Both he and Gabby live together. But yeah, Elon and I met. He's considerably younger. I'm 43 and he's about a decade younger. And Gabby could be my daughter if you really want to be specific and do the math. But I'm a teenager at heart. So Elon's an old soul. So we meshed that way. We met somewhere in the middle. And through some running adventures, even after he moved away, we kept in touch and worked together, right? We worked on when Elon's new company, Equator Coffees, would have some video gigs. Elon would reach out to me, and we got to know each other that way. We went to Panama together on a gig, which was really cool. And then, you know, Gabby just, I actually met Gabby before Elon, because he used to work for Goo Energy Labs, which is like endurance fuel, right? The gels. And met Gabby when were you interning there, Gabby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you were, yeah, and I think we were in Healdsburg, right? To run the Lake Sonoma 50-mile trail race.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby kicked my butt, by the way. And yeah, we met that way. And then, of course, these two ended up hooking up, and the three of us have the relationship we do now.
Yeah, we're a tripod.
Tripod. Very good. Hey, I want to go back to something Billy said reminded me of a comment that Gabby made earlier. Sorry, that Tunes made earlier. And that was that she has an eclectic taste in music, including old-fashioned music. And from what I'm taking away from that, Chopper, is that she's probably listening to the music that you and I were teenagers to.
Exactly.
Yeah, old-fashioned music.
Definitely.
Yeah, she makes me feel bad about being in my 30s. So it's coming at you guys from every corner. It's putting us all to shame.
Hey, Gabby, you're young enough to where probably like music from the 90s would be considered oldies for you, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you don't want to know. You don't want to know how old our kids are. So
One thing that's cool about our origin story of us meeting is when Billy and I first got to know each other coming up and running, he was just getting started in making his own films and sharing stories. And so it's been really cool for me on a personal level, seeing like his evolution as a filmmaker and then even as a podcaster. And we both ran our first 100-miler in 2014 down in Southern California, Angeles Crest 100. And I had done the John Muir Trail for the first time the year before that. And I think we've been talking on and off for 5 years about doing this trip together. And when the whole world shut down and we were like, you know, there's nowhere to travel anymore, getting to explore our backyard was like, we just started talking. And before we knew it, we were on the JMT. So
a little bit of a side note, that Angeles Crest race, does that go up over the PCT near Baden-Powell?
yes.
Last year, I was hiking up Baden-Powell, and they were running that race. Just total coincidence. I happened to be on that same time. That's funny.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so that would be, you probably came through in early August?
No, this was earlier in the year. I would say maybe June, July last year.
Oh, but you probably
Same trail.
just saw people training on the course.
No, they were running an actual race at the time. Anyway.
Okay, all right.
Awesome.
I didn't see it. Sorry.
So the three of you have trail running or running backgrounds. How did this transition to hiking the JMT? Elon, I know that you hiked it previously before the documentary with the three of you in it. I know, Billy, that you came up over Kearsarge Pass in 2015 and got your first taste of the Sierras. But how did this all come together? When did you guys catch the backpacking bug, the thru hiking bug?
I can take this one. Gabby and I met in 2017, and she was very much a straight runner, trail runner, but like, you know, definitely not as much of a hiker. And we did one of our first kind of big adventures together was through hiking the Tahoe Rim Trail in 2018. And that definitely gave her the bug. And I had done the JMT when I first moved to California and was very green to what hiking or running or any of it was. So I had some hard lessons that way. And so we started daydreaming about how great it would be to do the JMT again. And it's so hard to get passes or to make time with work that, you know, it wasn't really until 2020 that we were able to even think about it. And then we got a lot of time off work. And when the Sierra started opening back up, we were able to get some permits to start a little before the pass. And that's when I started bugging Billy, like, look, this is once in a lifetime. And Billy is always good at seizing the day. You never know what, if you call him, he's usually pretty open to adventures. So we roped him in.
Yeah.
Nice.
And sorry, I think what gets lost sometimes is that I know we have a tendency for hikers to bitch about runners and for runners to bitch about mountain bikers. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all just like, we're out there because we love the outdoors. And that love of the outdoors was something that really drew me into the Sierra. You mentioned the run I did up to Kearsarge. Yeah, it definitely, I never thought I would do it in a through hiking fashion, but when the opportunity presented itself, I mean, it really took the pandemic for me to realize the opportunity to take time away and go off grid and to kind of forget about the realities of the world for a little bit. And you know, my love of the outdoors and the mountains and the Eastern Sierra in particular was the only thing driving me there. So yeah, it was kind of a crash course in figuring out all the gear and everything, which was interesting because I really had like just maybe a little over a month, and I did as much research as I possibly could. There's some great YouTubers who specialize in gear reviews and whatnot, so I got to know them, you know, via YouTube. But yeah, I mean, that's how it all kind of came to be for me.
Wow, so a month to get your gear together.
Ish.
So,
yeah.
Month-ish.
Doc loves the gear. He wants to know the breakdown of everybody's gear and whatever.
Sorry.
But
So
have you watched the one that Billy put on YouTube? He has a full breakdown of what's in his bag and everything. It's great.
So where did you assemble your gear? Was it the favorite stop of all the new hikers, REI, or did you hit other locations?
So that's the one thing about this pandemic was that I could not go into an REI and physically try out packs. So there was so I actually didn't include that in the film, but it's worth noting that my lack of being able to try things on just made me do the research that much more. But at the end of the day, there's still no replacing going in there, physically putting something on your shoulders and your waist and trying it out. But I just did the best I could. And at the end of the day, the Osprey seemed to check just a couple of boxes. Would I go with that again? Remains to be seen, but I have it. You know, it seems to be a popular choice for first timers, so that's what I want.
That's what I've got too.
I will add too that, and this might be my tip for the end, but we'll see.
Yeah, save it.
To Billy's misfortune, the first time that I went through hiking as well, Elon took me to REI, and we had the tremendous luck of having this woman who loved to through hike, and she totally fit me for my pack. And she was able to, we tried on like 5 different packs, and she like told me how it was supposed to fit on my shoulders and on my waist and on my back. And I told her, I have some pretty gnarly hip pain. This is my old soul. I have sciatica, and it's really just lovely. And so she got me a pack that like wouldn't pinch my nerve. And so I think to all the hikers this year that had to, you know, do what Billy did and order online without really having that experience, it just put you at, I think, in my opinion, a bit of a loss, because I would be so lost without the wonderful woman who helped me so many years ago. And my pack still fits me like a glove, and like it's the best. And so I'm so indebted to her. And I think that the staff at REI are just great for that. So
yeah, I had a similar experience where they fitted it out and made it fit just right and tried on multiple ones. It was so much better.
Totally. Yeah.
Now, Billy, the video is pretty plain. You had some problems with gear. I mean, we're talking about that Osprey pack and the part of the harness, the hip harness, the buckle breaks off. And so I had to imagine that caused some consternation throughout the trip without if it didn't buckle correctly, or it always felt like it was, I don't know, did it always pop open because of that break, or how did that impact you?
Yeah, so sorry, I forgot the agreement that we're gonna try to stick to our trail names, by the way. So Doc is referring to one of the prongs on my hip harness broke on my Osprey. I would say, what day was it, Elon? Was it like day 3 when we were going up and over Muir Pass? No, it was
Forster. We were going over Forster.
I think you say in the video, Osprey, this is day 4 and it's already broken. So I remember that clearly.
So one of the things I really didn't anticipate, so I think that had to do with not being able to try it on, right? I do think that I may have gotten a size too big in the pack, but I also didn't anticipate how much weight I would lose in the first 4 days. Believe it or not, and Elon made a comment about this too, was just how gaunt I got like fairly quickly. I think at the end of the day, I probably dropped definitely over 10 pounds, but I didn't include this in the video, but about halfway through, I decided to use my iPhone to film myself for a certain segment. And as I was commenting, I saw myself for the first time, like on screen, and I stopped whatever I was saying at the time going, holy crap, I got thin, like my face looked sunken in. So I do think that contributed to the misfit of the Osprey as well. So I don't want to put it on them. I feel like I'm bad mouthing them in the video. I'm not. But it was a combination of those two things that really led to it. So I basically ended up cinching it or tying it around my waist for the extra support. But at the resupply point, we did drop into Mammoth, and I was able to converse or tell my plight to a guy who was working at Mammoth Mountaineering Shop, and he just so happened to have an extra prong that he replaced for free. So shout out to those guys as well.
Nice,
Cool.
nice. Now, I know you have an ultra running background, and I think you were wearing trail runners, right, on the hike.
Yes.
And I couldn't figure out why you had so much problem with your feet. I mean, it wasn't like you were, I didn't seem like you didn't say anything about these are brand new shoes, or I've never tried these before. And because of your trail running background, I assumed that, you were wearing a pair that you were comfortable with, yet your feet took a horrendous beating. Yeah. In fact, I was a little uncomfortable by the amount of foot shots in the video, Billy. I mean, Bourdain, sorry.
Yeah, you and a lot of people. My sister in particular, she was thoroughly grossed out when she screened it for the first time. I don't blame her.
I was getting up close and personal with those feet.
Yeah.
I know.
Doc, it's a mystery to us too what happened to Billy's feet happened.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'll try to, because I did think about this a lot, Doc. I was debating whether or not to do a postscript gear that worked, gear that didn't video, and I still may do that. But I couldn't really wrap my head around the answer. But I do think at the end of the day, it was an amalgam of a few things. First of all, the trail runners are not runners that I typically run in. So long story short, I did a Everesting. Do you know what the concept of Everesting is? You basically go uphill and do repeats until you achieve the height of Everest, the elevation. So 29,029 feet. I did that event, but it was only uphill. You weren't running downhill. So the fit of the shoe didn't necessarily matter. So what I did specifically for that one event, I bought a new pair of runners with really aggressive outsoles to grip the soil well. So I bought those at REI like the year before, and I tossed them aside afterwards. They were fine for that. And the socks that I run in, I've run 50, 100-mile races, and they were fine. I do think that, I do have, my feet generally tend to sweat excessively and more than the common man. So I think that was for one. And two, I just didn't do a good job of taking care of them, switching out socks, all of these things that I would have changed in retrospect. And then third, the shoes, I didn't have a chance, again, with not that much time to prep. I didn't really take in how my feet would feel after a long day of hiking, not running, but like hiking in the shoes, weighted down by 35, 40 pounds. So it was a combination of all these things that it's difficult to really pinpoint it on just one thing, but I do think it was at the end of the day, it was an amalgam of all of those things that I just listed.
A perfect storm of foot issues.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, let's back up just a little bit. I want to talk about the documentary itself. It was really well done. I really enjoyed it. I think what what really impressed me was kind of the B-roll footage. I mean, you took a lot of shots. I know that you had to set up ahead of time, set up the camera, and then you guys hike through the frame, and then you have to, of course, go back and get the camera. And so take us through a little bit of that action. I mean, how much time did you actually spend setting up a variety of shots? Did you have drone? It looked like you had drone footage in there, at least on the car trip coming in.
Yeah.
You had, I saw, the car driving through the frame as you're going through, along the east of the Sierras. That was a pretty cool shot as well.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff was shot, on, like, not on the JMT. I didn't bring a drone for the JMT, nor would I. I don't think they're allowed anyway. But yeah, it was very deliberate from the get-go. I definitely wanted to document this at the very least for ourselves, like I mentioned. I didn't know if we would end up putting together a film, but I think the mark of a good storyteller is just, don't highlight, because I definitely got some feedback of people who were saying, man, you complain a lot, or like, hey, suck it up, buddy. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I also want to be, I don't want to be this influencer type out on the trail going, oh my God, isn't this great, you guys? Check this out. Look at this beautiful meadow. Look at this beautiful mountain. Like, if things were gonna take a turn for the worse, and I don't know if I can cuss on your doc, but I do have a bit of a potty mouth. So if something comes out, if you have to bleep me, that's fine. But
it's much easier just to mark the episode explicit. So feel free to say what you're gonna say.
Yeah, but I just wanted to keep it real. And if shit was going down, I wanted to document that and be honest with people. And like, hey, maybe I can spare somebody down the line who think this is all like puppies and rainbows, like I thought, that it can go bad, and it goes bad for a lot of people, especially if you're ill prepared, especially if you don't do the necessary maintenance as you're going along the way. And a lot of that I can blame on my own. But yeah, basically with all of my like documentaries where I feature myself, I want to be honest first and foremost, but secondly, yeah, the extra, I guess it probably amounted to miles of like setting up cameras and doing all that. That was just a filmmaker in me wanting to not necessarily prioritize that, but at least have that in mind. So, but SOGO and Tunes were perfectly willing to pause and do the necessary, hey, let's walk by the camera while I run back and retrieve the camera type shots. And so it helps to have a really patient crew with you on your journey as well.
All right, be honest. How many times did you guys roll your eyes when he said, I'm going to go get the camera and set it up ahead of us?
It was actually, to be totally honest, it was not that bad. Partly because I work in the space and Billy and I have done these things before.
Right.
I'll actually go the other direction and give him kudos, because he was hurting for like 70% of this trip. And it was like the last thing he wanted to do sometimes, but he got it done. Like, he definitely could have been like, I'm in pain. I don't want to show this part of, my life. It's hard to be, show the raw and the exposed side, but I think that's what people connect with a little bit more, because more often than not, those are the stuff you remember. So I think there was like maybe one time where I was just like, we're not going to make our miles, but I learned to let that go.
Yeah.
Well, that was the day you guys went ahead to Muir Ranch, right?
Yes.
Left him behind.
It was right. It was like that. And it's, it's part of the group dynamic too, of like what our goals were to be out there and to enjoy, have this great experience, us all as friends, and then like me hoping to propose somewhere on the trip, but then like we all only had 14 days, like all these things coming together that you're trying to balance. And one of them was trying to get to Muir Trail Ranch, because we needed food, and Billy was completely gone and I was hungry, but also wanting to, make memories from it.
Yeah, Bourdain, you got it exactly right. It is not all puppies and rainbows out there. And us outdoor adventure influencers like you and me, I mean, we got to tell it like it is. In fact, the tagline on the John freaking Muir pod is "Embrace the suck," because there's hours and hours of suck out there for moments of absolute just pure bliss.
Yeah, and I guess there was a bit of at least on my shoulder, there was a bit of like, yeah, I've run 100-mile races before. Like, how hard can through hiking or hiking 20 miles a day, 18 miles a day, like how hard can it be really? And I got humbled pretty quickly. I don't mind telling you. So there's, you know, respect to everybody out there. And that's why, you know, the camaraderie as we continued on our journey, and especially when I was suffering, just the compassion and the generosity of people was really underscored and brought to life, because the currency out there is not monetary, it's not ego, it's just people doing whatever they can to help each other out because they know exactly what you're going through. And yeah, so I wanted to be honest about all that, and hopefully people will take note that taking care of your feet is really important. To make sure you bring plenty of ibuprofen as a break in case of emergency kind of thing, and a whole host of other things that you need out there.
Yeah, you were popping that ibuprofen on a regular basis.
Okay, let me just say that Billy was so concerned he was taking too much ibuprofen, but he was not taking that much. Like, he was maybe taking 3 or 4 in a day, and there's no way you can. I'm not a doctor, nor am I a pharmacist but 3 a day is not going to kill you, and it's not going to damage your liver, and you're going to be fine. And so I was very adamant about trying to persuade Billy to take ibuprofen, probably to my detriment. But
well, sometimes we ran out at one point.
this is true. Valid.
Yeah. You want to tell that story real quick?
We ran out of ibuprofen. What was it? The day after we had just resupplied at Muir Trail Ranch, and Billy's feet were in dire straits, and so we didn't leave him, but we just like started hiking a little bit ahead of him, and these 2 guys were like hobbling towards SOGO and I. And at this point, it was becoming really necessary that we have ibuprofen for Billy, or for Bourdain, because that was really helping him. And so I just stopped him and I said, do you by any chance have any ibuprofen on you? And they're like, oh yeah, we have tons of extra. And so they whipped out this bag of gold, and in it contained multiple pills of ibuprofen. And being that we had just resupplied the day before, I had sent us all fruit roll-ups in our resupply packages. And so I took out all of our fruit roll-ups and I offered them as like a barter for the ibuprofen, and they didn't even ask for it, which was the greatest part, is they really weren't expecting anything in return, but to be able to give them something from our packs because they were giving something from theirs was so equitable and amazing. And they got so happy, and they just lit up with joy, and it was nice. It was great. So it was an equal exchange, I would say.
Very good. Yeah, barter system out there, but typically other hikers, they give you the shirt off their back to help you out. I mean, it's a fantastic community.
Yeah, it was really incredible. And
yeah, I mean, Gabby decided to throw away our water filter, and we ran out of iodine pills. We were getting close to the end, and I had to start asking people for extras. So
it wasn't just Billy's hip belt or Bourdain's hip belt. His shoe kind of was wearing away there. Talking about problems with gear. You're showing some holes in your shoe early on. And then I also had on my notes here that, you know, Gabby lost a water filter. Bourdain had an air pad leak. I mean, it's just all kinds of little stuff happened on this trip.
It happens, but it's, you know, if there's one thing we learned from, especially like 50 to 100 mile ultra running mindset, is you have to be able to problem solve and figure things out on the fly. Whether it, for us, is usually you need more calories, you need to find some electrolytes and things of the like, not necessarily this pad that you're relying on to sleep on is going to slowly leak air throughout the night. But it's still problem solving at the end of the day. And, you know, sometimes you need to lean on your community to help you out and bail you out. So it was great. It was great. And you learned a lot about, as cheesy as this may sound, like just the generosity of the human spirit. It was on full display.
Yep.
Yeah, I will also just add to that. I think the thing that I learned the most on this thru hike in particular, and other thru hikes that we've done, is like have a plan A, a plan B, a C, and just potentially D if you need it. So we brought extra iodine pills just in case something happened to our water filter. And boy, are we glad that we did, because otherwise we would have been shit out of luck. So that was good.
All right. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get down into the nitty gritty details of the hike. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are talking to Bourdain, SOGO, and Tunes about the documentary that Bourdain put together, posted on YouTube, called John Muir Trail. I almost said John freaking Muir. I'm just used to that. The John Muir Trail. Outstanding 54-minute documentary of their trip earlier this summer. And I kind of want to go into the nitty gritty, some of the details, because as I told Tunes and SOGO before we started recording tonight, as we were waiting for Bourdain to show up, that I've watched the video now 3 times, and I feel like we're all friends. I feel like I know you very well just from hanging out with you on the trail so often. But tonight's the first time we've met. But in watching the video again this afternoon, because I wanted to prepare for today, I have all kinds of notes and a lot of funny things I want to talk to you guys about. So number one is your trip took 14 days and you went northbound. You started south of Whitney, you summited Whitney, and that was the official start of the John Muir Trail for you. And you guys finished up in Happy Isles, and it took 14 days, right?
Correct.
That's hauling ass.
Yeah, that's a good clip.
And it was really, honestly, it was like 12 days. I mean, our first and last days were like 8 miles. So we did it, the majority of it, in about 12.
Yeah, and there's a lot of little fun parts to your documentary, Bourdain. One were the food reviews, which is very appropriate to your trail name. I love the food reviews. I think there were several sprinkled throughout the documentary where you would all kind of share what kind of food you're eating and give your scores. And sometimes the scores changed, or maybe where they were inflated, either because of how hungry you were or because of side condiments that you guys added. So what was your favorite meal out on the trail? Tunes?
Oh, I don't even need to think about this. So my favorite meal out on the trail is, oh damn, I forget the brand. Spaghetti and meat sauce.
Mountain House.
Mountain House.
The best. That's
Thank
the
you,
best.
Thank you, friends. Spaghetti and meat, spaghetti and Mountain House. Spaghetti and meat sauce, and it is so good. It has rosemary in it, like fresh rosemary.
It's not fresh.
Well, it's not fresh, but it's freeze dried. I can just imagine like some little old granny in Italy, like cutting her rosemary and shipping it off to Mountain House, and me enjoying it. It tastes like you're home. And when you're on the trail, that, at least to me, like that spaghetti meatball taste is just.
I'm right there with you. That's one of my favorite ones. The ones that are really spicy, because my stomach gets all screwed up on the trail. But that spaghetti and meatballs is really, really good. Same thing. You just feel comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Solid choice. SOGO, how about you?
I only really had like 2 variations. They were the people that were like really into the food. I was eating to live, and I think I just had the pad thai from
Good to Go.
Good to Go. I loved it. I could eat pad thai every night the rest of my life. I will not agree with my wonderful fiance in saying that I imagine someone in Southeast Asia cooking this up and shipping it to Good to Go. It was very dehydrated, but it did the job.
Tunes is just a romantic at heart. She has this vision out there that awesome.
It's her backstory.
And Bourdain, how about you?
Well, let's see. So first of all, yes, they were 100% inflated by how hungry we were. I fully admit to that. The old adage of never, what is it? Never go shopping while you're hungry. Never give food reviews when you're absolutely famished either. But I'm fine with that. I'm going to give some love to Alpine. I think it's Alpine Air. The, what was it? It was like the chicken, like creamy chicken and rice or something. So I started adding couscous to my meals. So I feel like the score could have been higher. If you look at the video, I actually admit as much. So it was a little bit dry, but I just remember the texture was super creamy, and I felt like the quality of ingredients is just better than Mountain House. No offense, Gabby. Outside of the fresh rosemary, I'm sure it's all, Anyway, but I will go Alpine Air, the chicken. The exact name of the product escapes me, but it's some kind of creamy chicken rice thingamabob, and it was delicious.
And what was the rating out of 10 that you gave it?
I don't even remember the name, so I don't remember the rating, but it was up there. It was slightly diminished by, like I said, the dryness, but that was because I added like a handful of couscous into it.
Didn't one of you have ramen and Spam?
Yes, I was just gonna say Bourdain surprised me with that answer because he had the Spam and ramen, and he gave it an 8.8 out of 10.
Because our friend Buddy, who goes with us, that's all he would have was ramen and Spam every night.
Okay.
Just like the pad thai, it's ramen and Spam.
Yep.
So I actually eat this at home. This is Shin Ramen by people working on my motherland. I can tell you there are actually grandmothers slaving away.
There really are.
Yes.
Yes.
Back in the motherland, that is South Korea. No, I've totally changed my answer. It is 100% Shin Ramen because this is stuff I actually eat at home. The Spam part I could probably do with that. I just added for extra calories, but I mean, Elon and Gabby, you guys were pretty blown away by the taste too, right?
Oh, so good.
Billy sent that as a gift to us post-hike. I ate it in like 2 days. It was so good.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, like, it looks delicious. Like when Billy or Bourdain would open his little cooking cup or whatever, and it looks like you could buy something at a restaurant. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it photographed well.
Yeah.
Doc, can we give your viewers one recommendation on a meal not to eat?
Yes, I think if it's the one you mentioned a couple of times in the video, go ahead. Let's share it.
That thing, Billy, please. That thing's disgusting. I don't even think that's food. I think that there was like rubber things in there. I mean, it's horrible.
So it's chicken fried rice for all you viewers and listeners out there.
Yeah, it's god awful. It was, the ingredients tasted fake. Didn't really taste like chicken either. Yeah, the consensus was that was the worst thing we had out on the trail for sure, by a landslide.
Yeah, Chopper and I would say, I think we'd be on the same page, Chopper. We would recommend to our listeners and viewers, stay away from the chili mac.
Yes.
That seemed to destroy whoever had it.
Those are fighting worse than two.
Oh.
For me, the extra spice out on the trail, after a while, my stomach is like, nope. Nobody else wants to be around you either.
So, funny story. I got a chili mac from a random stranger at Red's Meadow. He was just giving away food because he was stopping his thru hike early. And so I very boldly, in the time of Corona, decided that was a great idea and put it in my pack and had it, I think, on the penultimate day of our hike or the penultimate evening. And it was so good. I loved it.
It's good. It's good going down, but boy, your stomach, it didn't seem to sit right with us.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna pivot a little bit.
Hang on, Billy. Bourdain, before you pivot, I need to go back to one thing that Elon said. I'm sorry, SOGO. I mean, I'm so familiar with your names now that I've screwed up the whole trail name thing. So, well, I'm going to call you whatever I'm going to call you. Apologies. SOGO said that at the end, after the hike was over, that Bourdain gifted them some Shin ramen. And so, Chopper, I want you to consider yourself lucky that after we finished our hike, I got us engraved oversized beer mugs with our trail names and the years that we did the JMT. So, I mean,
oh, that's great.
You could have had Shin ramen instead of the beer mugs. So there you go.
You were still hoping for me to give you some tortillas.
Yeah.
Still angry about that day.
That's another story. That's right.
You guys are all much nicer because when we finished the hike, I just sent Billy powdered milk. So I really feel like a schmuck now.
Yeah, the actual powdered milk that you put in your sweaty pack.
But as I recall, that was one of your favorite things.
Oh my God, hands down. Are you kidding me? You can have a latte on the trail.
I work in the coffee industry, and that is not a latte.
Yes, it is.
But when you're on the trail, it's just like the Mountain House spaghetti and meatballs isn't really spaghetti and meatballs.
Right. Exactly.
It takes the coffee game from a 4 to like a 9.8. Like it becomes a ritual. You stir your milk, you get it all hot, and then you pour in your Starbucks dark roast via in there, and then you just sip that. Oh, it's so good. It's delicious.
Bourdain, what side trail did you want to take us down?
Well, you reminded me when you mentioned how you guys reacted to the chili mac. I want to talk about one thing that was not included in the video which was Elon's. How should I put this delicately?
Look,
I'm guessing
everyone knows about altitude farts. It's not a big deal, man.
my son calls them altitudes.
Yeah.
So good.
I think I lost count after a while, but I felt like it averaged about one every like 2.5 minutes or so. It was just nonstop. And poor Gabby, I don't know how she did it, sharing a tent with him, but God bless her heart. But, you know, like there was nothing necessarily wrong with his stomach. He was just like, there's a lot of gas in that package.
That was part of his propulsion method. Helped him on the uphills.
It definitely helped him more than it did Tunes and I, that's for sure.
Yeah, because we were behind him because he was faster than us. So it's a miracle we're alive, honestly.
The other thing, when you live on the trail together for 14 days, you know way too much about each other.
Oh yeah. You know your
sacred
bathroom schedules. You know how often they toot. Yeah, all of that. Nothing's off the table.
SOGO, I'm thinking that you should be pretty happy with SOGO because I'm thinking there could be some other trail names given to you.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
Is that full here? I see.
Could have been Chili Mac.
Very good. Hey, another cool thing that I thought you guys did was the large number of scenes that I saw with the mini bottles of alcohol. Who was carrying all the mini bottles?
Billy.
That was Billy.
Nice.
Bourdain.
Yeah. I just brought a handful. Figured at the end of the day, kicking around a campfire with a nice nip of bourbon, some fine American Kentucky bourbon would be a nice touch, and it was fine. It was fine. It was nice, and also able to give it out to new friends that we met along the way. So yeah, it was just a nice touch. The ultralighters, the ultra guys out there probably would poo-poo that or whack their finger at it, but just any little thing to remind you of home. Not that I drink excessively, but anything to make you feel that sense of home and a little reward at the end of each day, long days, was a nice touch.
And surprisingly, the alcohol didn't seem to help you sleep any better, though.
Not the first couple of nights, but definitely after a while, especially when we're creekside, I slept great.
Yeah.
Well, and when my pad, wasn't leaking.
Right. Tunes, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna add that it warms you up too a little bit, which is a nice perk. So if you're cold-blooded like me, like a shot of bourbon makes you feel all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, way back in the days before COVID, Chopper here, he surprised us all by bringing in a flask of Fireball for our last night on the JMT, which was very cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
It doesn't taste good, but it was one of those things like it seemed like a good thing at the time.
Yeah, I am not a Fireball fan.
Neither am I. It just sounded right.
And I also have to commend you guys on the number of times you had full body immersions in either lakes or rivers or streams. That's bonkers. We've done it a couple of times, and the water is so cold up there, it takes your breath away. And I don't know how you guys did it, you know, day after day after day, but you guys did a really great job of taking that opportunity and jumping in.
We owe that credit to Bourdain, I think 100%. But I would, if I can speak for all three of us, I would say it was for sure a highlight.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the trip. I was very resistant to it in the beginning because I was just like, exactly what you're saying. It's gonna be so cold, shocking the system. I just want to keep moving, but it's very refreshing. And then it kind of became like a little ritual, and I wish we could have even done it more. It was really nice.
Yeah, I was telling the guys that it was just like a natural shot injection of espresso. That you know, if our moods were down, if things were lagging a little bit, we were tired, it would perk you right back up. And so it was a nice little jolt to the system, and it was a nice way to clean up at the end of each day.
If I can share a small anecdote, we oh man, what was the pass? I call this one the pass from hell because the approach was so long. It was so hot. Bourdain ate lasagna in the middle of the day on his way up this pass. God knows why. I was suffering. The end of the day was approaching, and you know, mood was trash. No one was having fun at that point.
I was having fun.
Well, we were having fun. Fun is a relative term, right? So we get to the top of the pass finally. We all three kind of reconnect because we had sort of gone on our own paces, and the day is sort of escaping us, and we had wanted to get a lot further than we did, and I think we were all just feeling a little bit melancholy for that reason. And so we start the descent. It's gravelly. We're all sort of tripping up, and we're getting nervous that we're again gonna fall short of our mileage targets. And we get to Lake Marjorie, and Bourdain turns to us, and he just is like, "I'm jumping in." And at that point, I think we were all just sort of like, oh God, like we got to keep going. We got to keep moving. But we all sort of relented and took our packs off, and Bourdain jumped in, and then famously I took my top off and I jumped in too, and it was amazing. And we all just, it changed our perspective on everything. Like I think it set the tone for the rest of the trip too, that like Carpe Diem is real and you have to seize every moment. And those lakes were just such a beautiful reminder of that. And I mean, these alpine lakes are untouched, and it was incredible how our moods shifted so dramatically too. And yeah, I wish we were all back there right now, but it was great.
Yeah, that Lake Marjorie is just below Pinchot Pass.
Yeah, Pinchot, the pass from hell. It shall be named.
Beautiful lake though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Also, when you started out on top of Mount Whitney, I recognized something on top there that, again, we're talking small world. I want to see if the hiking world is indeed small. You guys are holding up the Mount Whitney sign, correct? And the Mount Whitney sign seemed to be broken. It was held in place by looked like a couple of pieces of rope holding it together.
That's correct.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know the story behind the broken sign on the top of Mount Whitney.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. My step cousin, who her trail name is BA, but she goes by Jessica. She and her boyfriend at the time did the John Muir Trail earlier this summer, and they went southbound, and they finished on top of Whitney. And on top of Whitney, he proposed, and she was holding the sign at that point, and she like flipped out through the sign and broke the sign. So yeah, my cousin is the one who broke the sign, and I guess evidently it's still broken, but it's being held together by some rope there. So there you go.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Small world.
That was earlier this year, wasn't it?
That was, yeah.
But I think actually the day we were up there, someone had just glued it back together. Somehow the word had gotten around, I think, of your step cousin.
Yeah.
And, someone glued it, and then they put rope so that it would, stay secure for a while. But I think it's been resurrected. It's back.
Okay, good.
Congrats to her.
Yeah.
There's something about that trail and people wanting to get married. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there who didn't just see that, Toons held up her ring finger, because one of the surprise parts of the documentary. Bourdain, am I allowed to say this? I don't want to spoil the documentary.
Yeah, say.
Okay, so when they finish their northbound hike and they're at Happy Isles, at the sign, SOGO flashes his guns, gets down on a knee, and pops out the ring and pops the question to Tunes. What a fantastic finish. That came out of nowhere. I didn't see that coming. And that was so awesome. That was a great part of the video.
Yeah, it was really special. It was really special.
Did you intend to do it at the end, or were you saying, okay, every day, am I going to do it today? Am I going to do it today? Am I going to do it today?
Definitely closer to the every day. I think when we started, my initial thought was I would do it on the top of some pass, depending which one. I wasn't sure, but I was like, one of these is going to feel right. We'll be up there having lunch. It'll be beautiful, Bluebird. And I told Billy beforehand, like that was kind of the plan. And then somewhere like 3 or 4 days in, I started realizing like we're exhausted by the time we get to the top. Like that's not going to be the most romantic, enjoyable spot to get down on me. And then I think towards the end, I started thinking, well, maybe these lakes are also beautiful. I'll do it then. And there's a scene towards the end, right after Thousand Island Lakes, where I thought that was going to be the day. And as I was thinking about that, Gabby, who was leading the charge going up the next pass, and like I looked at the map, there was a lake after that pass. It was morning, so I didn't think we were going to be that tired. She insanely rolled her ankle. And so
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
yeah, at that moment, after that, because we were definitely nervous we would have to stop, I just felt like if we can get to the end, it's a great indicator that if she says yes, then we can get through anything. So it worked out.
Yeah, and was it Chopper that said this? There's no place to hide out on the trail. I mean, if you guys did 14 days together on the trail, 24 hours a day for those 14 days, you guys are going to be a successful couple. I mean, if you guys know all of that about each other and you're still willing to get married to each other, it's all gravy from here.
I'm the lucky one for sure. Definitely.
Smooth sailing. Yeah.
No, it was pretty nice. I was watching the video, and my wife sat down for like just that section, and she's like, "Oh, how sweet!" It's like,
That's awesome.
she loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, it was awesome to have Billy out there with us too, and being able to document and look back. And my family, I grew up in Ohio. My grandparents are back there, so I sent them a clip, and it's cool to be able to share that with them even right now. So it's pretty.
Yeah, we talked about this before the trip. I knew he was going to propose, but as Elon was saying, the idea constantly pivoted and evolved because it would have been somewhat anticlimactic. Like there were a couple times I pulled Elon aside and said, maybe we just wait until the finish because this, it would have been nice to close at this beautiful place, but then you never know how the next day is going to go. And there were plenty of, literal and figurative up and downs. And, it would have kind of dulled the otherwise excitement of, spending the rest of your life with someone. So I think we made the right call. Like I had a hand in it. But yeah, I do think that ultimately Elon did the best, or SOGO did the best job by just waiting till the end. And it was like the perfect moment at that point.
Yeah. SOGO, I'm going to ask you a question. I want an honest answer. Was there ever a time on this hike that you were thinking, man, Billy's feet are going to screw up my proposal?
For sure. For sure. I mean, I was definitely nervous that we were not going to make it. There were a few days where I was like, I don't think we're going to get to the end. Like, it's not going to happen. And then there were a couple times too where I kept the ring in those shorts. They have like a bunch of great pockets. And I was like constantly checking. There were a couple times where like a pocket would be open, or I would just be like so freaked out. So the last day, and like it's all downhill for us, just getting to the finish. Like that's all I think I said like 3 words, and they kept running up in the head, and they were so excited, and I was just like sweating bullets. Like I was getting so nervous.
That last day too, this has nothing to do with me being proposed to, though I am really excited about it, and I love Elon very much. I'll also never forget because I lost a bet that I'm really disappointed about to Billy, and it reveals my true age. And I can elaborate.
You guys tell us more. I can't just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I was really convinced that
Oh yeah.
Sheryl Crow sang "Walking on Sunshine," right? But
You didn't.
she did not. Nope. And so I had to buy Bourdain dinner when we finished the trail. And but to be fair though, Bourdain, you don't actually know who sang the song. You just know it was certainly not Sheryl Crow.
That was the bet.
I know, but still, I'm just saying.
She
Yeah,
Tunes can never lose a bet.
I'm
We have
just
like
saying.
100 bets running on this trip that she has not yet lost, just have not been verified.
You can't Google anything when you're out there.
Yeah, exactly.
this is how people get Tunes. This is how people disputed things back in the day. Before Google, when there was a bet that had to be made and you didn't know the answer, you couldn't get it immediately in your iPhone. This is how people conversed. I do want to bring something up. You guys mentioned the problems with my feet, and I didn't really discuss this in the video, but when we went to our resupply point back to Mammoth, where I picked up the buckle and everything, or the harness, my feet were probably like the worst. Like they had actually swelled up to the point that it was tender to the touch, and I was about 80% certain I was not going to make it. Like 80%. It was really, really high, and I was looking for any out whatsoever. And obviously I'm glad I finished, but it was really touch and go for a while because it had gotten really, really bad, and I didn't want to fully show it, but it was a real low point.
Do you think there was something more going on than just the blisters, or?
Well, at that day, certainly there was. I don't know if it was just a combination of everything where, the feet got swollen, the blisters were just, really raw and bad, and there were flesh being ripped off by some of the bandages and the tape. And it was really tough for a while.
I think part of it too was Billy got behind on calories early on. And like we were talking about, he thinned out really quick. And so then his body was at a deficit, and then his body started having some issues.
Never caught up, right?
And so it was really hard for him to like he slept really soundly because his body was trying to recover, but at the same time it was dealing with all these multiple stressors that, I know him and I had a conversation in Mammoth without Gabby, and we were like, I was nervous about, is this the right thing to do? Of you want to be out there, you want to enjoy the trip, but also like you got to take care of your body. So it was, I'm glad we all were able to make it happen.
Yeah, we've kind of gone through a long list of challenges you guys had to overcome with, the gear malfunctions, the lost water filter, Gabby, Tunes twisting her ankle, and that seemed like it was a pretty serious injury, but she was able to walk it off, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And then Billy's feet. I know that after MTR, you actually verbalized on the video that you were thinking of bailing out. You had these thoughts of bailing out, and you didn't know if you're gonna be able to make it or not. And so, it wasn't just rainbows and puppies out there. I mean, you guys really struggled at times. But let's move forward, move off of the negative stuff, and let's talk about some of the positives. I mean, the positive of the proposal, but also, did you guys have a favorite campsite out there? Because as I was watching the video, Chopper, I don't know if you had the same you had the same recollection. You guys camped in two places that we camped in. I had very vivid memories of this down at South Fork Kings River. We camped at that spot and right by the water's edge, and it was awesome. But also up by Tully Hole in that fireplace, the huge stone. That was our campsite as well, and that was another fantastic one. Yeah. So did you guys? Let's talk about some favorites out there. Did you guys have some favorite campsites?
Yeah, I had a few. The one we stayed at after Mirror Pass was really cool. I can't remember. We'd really gone, like, it was a big day, and it was just like so satisfying to be able to relax and be right down the water, and like just late in the water. We finished pretty early in that day. Like I think we were done like 4 or 3:34 p.m. and just like hanging out at our campsite was so nice.
So was that Wanda Lake?
Wait, what?
After
After Muir? No, after Muir, we hightailed it to Paiute.
That's a long way.
That's a lot, but we didn't make it because Billy was having feet problems.
Right.
So, I mean, Paiute Creek was that night.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still like that.
We're good. And we miraculously found Billy, and it was like very community based.
There was all those people there before MTR.
Yes, okay.
It was really cool. It was like we hadn't seen anybody like half of that day, and we left Billy. We're like super down, and it was just like so relaxing to be there.
So after MTR, so you guys split up before MTR. Billy catches up, and in the documentary, it's a very brief clip of Billy walking into camp and Tunes poking her head out from the tent saying, "Oh my God, you made it! How did you make it?" And then it cut away. So I wasn't sure where exactly that was. So you're saying that was at Paiute Creek? Wow, that's a haul.
Yeah,
it was a haul, and the fact that I peeked out of my tent as excited and elated as I was because Billy, I think at that point, right, it was the first time you decided to hike in sandals, and when we decided to try and get to our resupply, you had like decided that you were going to start walking in your sandals, and I just was like, holy shit, this is intense. And you made it in your sandals. And then that's why I was, it was like 10 miles of downhill. There's a massive creek crossing. You have to go down like this huge granite staircase. And then you get to Paiute Creek, and
we were out of food. And some people gave us food because we were pretty much, our stuff was empty. It was a great night.
Maybe not for Billy.
Tunes, was that your favorite campsite as well?
Negative. My favorite campsite was right after Lake Marjorie. I don't remember what that campsite was, but it was the first night we got fire, and we were so jazzed on it. And
that's the best feeling.
Oh, it was tremendous. And like we got warm, we had hot chocolate. I think that was one of the first times we started really seriously rating our food, and we were just in better spirits. Yeah. It was great.
I loved Thousand Island Lakes. We camped there, and there was a big storm. We were just like watching the storm. It was really beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, Thousand Island Lake is very beautiful. Spot. Yep. Bourdain, how about you?
Would say Thousand Island, but it felt a little too crowded for my liking. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say because, you know, there was a good amount of distancing, but, you know, I would have to probably say that spot by the creek in Yosemite Valley, you guys remember where, this is right before I kind of crawl into my tent and just reflect on the journey. That's when I really felt like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to finish this.
Yeah.
Like there was so much doubt day in and day out for a variety of reasons. But when we finally descended down and we were in the valley and we stopped there, and I was, you know, there's a creek right nearby, which is always my favorite because I always love that white noise. But to be able to clean up right before dinner and to get in, you know, to your clean-ish clothes, to wind down at camp, and you can smell the barn. And I just remember I was like, oh my God, like I'm 100% going to finish this. And there was absolutely no doubt. So I could ease into it more and appreciate the little things more. And that was the most frustrating thing about the whole feet issue. It wasn't necessarily that, oh my God, I'm in pain and this sucks, but it was in the context of where I was and this thing that I felt with every single step just detracted me away from the beauty of the JMT. And I wish I was able to articulate that a little bit better, because that was the juxtaposition of the two things that I was going through my body in those moments was the most frustrating thing. But yeah, from that point on, or from really since we were able to resupply, that things just took a turn for the better, and you know, the feet problems were a lot more manageable.
Yeah, from being just moments away from bailing out Bourdain, I mean, you really made a startling recovery, a turnaround, and finished strong. That was another part of the video that I really enjoyed, was that turning point for you.
Ibuprofen.
Chopper, I would like to add that on this night of Billy's Paradise, I consumed chili mac and it was delicious.
Very nice.
And on that note, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to kind of some takeaway moments from the journey and some other information about Bourdain's media empire. So we'll get back to that right after the break. And welcome back. Once again, we're talking to Bourdain, SOGO, and Tunes about their trip on the JMT this past summer, the proposal that took place, and all the mirth and merriment that has gone on since. So let's stick with the favorites before we move on from this. Stick with the favorites. This time I want to talk about what was your favorite moment from the trail. And I'm just going to take out the proposal. Just take that out of the equation. You can't use that as your favorite moment. That's stipulated. That's probably your favorite moment. But what else out there really got to you and said, you know, this is why we're doing it. This is fantastic. So Bourdain, I'm going to start with you this time.
Yeah, two places immediately come to mind. One, indisputably, was descending Forester. A long gradual descent down Forester. You're still, you know, above 13,000 feet. It's just craggy alpine. You know, the views were amazing, and you were slowly descending, which you know, obviously made it a lot easier, and you were able to enjoy it more. And it was early on in the trip for us, so we you know, there were no issues whatsoever to speak of. So that definitely comes to mind. The other, I forget the name of the meadow, but there was that meadow that that I shot on our way up Muir Trail. Maybe you guys, Chopper and Doc, maybe you guys would know it better than I would, but I just remember looking at it, and it was off to our side. And finally I turned to Gabby and Elon and said, like, we have to stop in there. So we took a little detour to sit in that meadow and take some shots. And those two areas definitely stand out as highlights.
Was it in Evolution Valley? Was it McClure Meadow?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes. Nailed it. Yeah. I knew it was Evolution.
Yeah. I've got a great shot from our 2015 trip of Chopper and Buddy standing on the trail and just looking out over the meadow. And they had no idea I was taking a picture of them kind of looking at the meadow. And it's just awe-inspiring. You know, you can just see like they're thunderstruck looking at this amazing sight out there.
That's well said. Yeah. I'll go next.
Okay.
Billy, you stole part of mine. I echo that as well. That meadow is jaw-dropping, and I think we hit it at this golden hour of the day where we were exhausted, and I think we all kind of felt like we were hallucinating because it was just so beautiful and peaceful, and it's something that you would see in one of those Calm apps with like the wind rustling through the grass and there's no one else around, and it was truly spectacular. So aside from the beauty of that, I would say my favorite moment, it makes me laugh every time I think about it, and I feel like such a dweeb admitting that, but as we were descending into Yosemite Valley, we got really lucky the whole trip, but it never rained, and so the fact that we never had to use our rain covers was hilarious to me. But on this one day, it started to rain, and Billy takes out his rain cover, and it's red, and ours are black, and he puts it on his backpack, and he looks like a strawberry, like a moving strawberry, and put them two together, and I was just behind. They looked like these moving Ninja Turtles just walking through the valley, and it was hysterical. I couldn't contain myself.
She couldn't stop laughing for like half an hour.
I couldn't stop laughing. Every time I see a picture of it genuinely makes me laugh. And I think like the takeaway is that just the experience of being out on the trail with Billy and Elon was so fun. And like, despite the rough and tumble moments, you guys really made it the best, and so I'm really grateful for.
You two made each other laugh like nonstop, which I thought was so weird because they would oscillate between like hating me and then laughing at each other and back and forth. But that was a good one.
I don't know. But yeah.
Nice. Hey, Sogo, I'm going to give you a moment to collect your thoughts because I wanted to follow up on the rain comment there by Tunes. And both Chopper and I have had very fine moments in the rain on the trail. I want to relay a story where we had gotten to Guitar Lake on the night before we were going to get off the trail. This is our last campsite. And right as we're setting up camp at Guitar Lake, it starts to rain. And we in the last 24 hours prior to this, I mean, we had our fair share of rain and rolling thunderstorms through the right over our camp. It was intense. It was intense. And so we were going on, zero sleep, and we get to Guitar Lake and we're setting up camp, and Chopper is setting up his tent, and it starts raining, and Chopper has just had enough at this point. And there are other people not related to our party, other people who already have their tents set up, and I'm sure they're relaxing in their tents, and Chopper just is letting loose with, cursing at the world at this point. He just could not.
Waving my arms in the air, yelling at God. Every obscenity I could think of.
Yeah. But to his credit, once the rain stopped and we were able to kind of fire up dinner, he apologized to the folks around us and said, "Hey, sorry about that.
They were like, totally get it. It's all good."
I hit my breaking point. And it also makes me laugh because I had a similar experience. I had a couple of experiences similar to that, but I was going to tell the one about Garnet Lake, but I guess the one at the bottom of Forster is even funnier.
Forster's better.
Yeah. So I've been over Forster twice.
Something rain.
Yeah, I've been over Forster twice. And in each of those times, it has been fraught with danger, with 35-mile-an-hour winds, hail, lightning, thunder. We got 2 metal poles in our hands, and we end up going over the top of Forster. And on the descent, the trail, we're going southbound. So the trail going down those switchbacks, the trail was just water. It was like a stream. That's how hard it was raining.
And rolling down the trail. It was scary.
Yeah. And I think we were borderline hypothermic, but because we were in our shorts and maybe we had our rain jackets on. We got down to the bottom, and I said, I have to stop. I've got to put something. I've got to warm up. I am freezing. Chopper, he hardly breaks stride. He just keeps going. But he said, yeah, you had to keep moving. I got to keep moving to keep warm. So he kept going. But I pulled out of my pack. I pulled out the rain pants, and I put the rain pants on, and I realized
3 hours into the rain.
Yeah. I realized as I'm standing up, and I've struggled to get them over my boots, and I finally get them on. I realize, oh man, I've got them on backwards.
Oh no.
I sit down again, I take them off. I struggle to get them off over my boots. I put them on again. And then I'm pulling them up, and I realize, no, I had them on the right way the first time. I've now put them on backwards. So it was, again, one of those moments of screaming at the world, at my last bit of patience with the world. So funny moments in the rain brings out the best in us.
Yes, definitely. It's like always the simplest stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, why is this really getting me? And then an hour later, you're great.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
So
all right, Sogo.
I have a couple. I wouldn't say this was my favorite moment, but thinking back, it was very funny. There was a section where I'm blanking on the pass, but we were coming down, and the whole trip beforehand, we've been hearing that the flies this year, mosquitoes were just horrible. So many gnats out there, all this stuff. So like, we had gotten kind of nervous. Like people like that I knew that would get out in the wilderness quite a bit. They're like, yeah, it's just nasty this year. Like, good luck to you. It's just going to drive you nuts, like nonstop. And we didn't have any bad experiences at all. Do you remember the name of this pass? I don't remember. Anyway, we were coming down this pass, and all of a sudden, we just get swarmed with
gnats. It was after
Muir. It was after Muir?
Yeah, it was on our way down from Muir.
And for like 10 minutes, we were just sprinting with nets on, just like smacking our bodies, like just going nuts. And it was so disgusting, but looking back, it was kind of funny because I just had this image in my head of just all of us freaking out. And then they were gone. I mean, there were bug bites throughout the trip that were a little annoying, but it was a very condensed, like, I felt like it was like a 10 plagues kind of moment. It was just like,
They were all there.
Yeah.
I have no idea why you chose that as your favorite.
No,
moment,
it's just a moment that stuck out. I have a different favorite moment.
I know. Okay, I also tangent. I realize this is a podcast, so your listeners are not going to be able to see what I'm about to show you guys. But here's Strawberry Ninja Turtle Billy.
Very nice.
Nice.
I mean, are you kidding me? Okay, next one.
So all of our listeners out there, you also realize now that this is being also broadcast on YouTube, the video. So make sure you tune in to the video version of this episode.
Definitely share those with Doc. He'll post them on Instagram.
Yes.
Oh, I will 100%. If I'm having a bad day, I just look at this and I just
we just to keep Billy's beautiful video in check. We have lots of miserable photos. that we can share.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my really touching moments was when we got to the top of Whitney. It was a little different doing the trip starting before Whitney. So we had like 2 days, about 40-ish miles to get to the start of the JMT. And for me, I had done the JMT from Yosemite to Whitney. And so just getting to Whitney, it's a couple days in, like you're thinking about it, everything builds to that. And being at the top of the continental US with one of my best friends, with my future fiance, Gabby started crying. Like, it was such an awesome moment because I knew at the time, and it came true, like I knew we were going to get to the finish, and I knew like every step between there and Happy Isles was going to be an adventure, and it felt cool.
Did you almost pull the ring out at that point?
There were too many people, it was like I was too like excited to get moving, but it was a really nice moment.
Very cool.
Nice. Bourdain, we did yours, right?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, hey, what was the big takeaway for each of you? What did you learn from the trip? What did you learn about yourself? Tunes, you want to go first?
Oh yeah.
You go.
Yeah. There are a lot of takeaways. I think I have 3. This is probably breaking your rules, but I have 3 really quick ones. The first one is, now having finished the John Muir Trail and having spoken to a few people who've also done it, I have learned a lot about the native people who have lived for hundreds and hundreds of years on that trail, and trying to also refer to it by its indigenous name of Numupoyo. And there are incredible groups of women, especially indigenous hikers, who are out there trying to protect the land and raise awareness. And so after we finished, it was nice to go back and research and learn a little bit more about the native people who are on that land. And more so about what I learned about myself is how much nature and the outdoors plays a role in not even my physical well-being, but my mental well-being, and how just at home we felt out there, and how much we have left to explore. And so that's probably a takeaway. Just, you don't have to be out there, hiking the fastest or the hardest or the longest. Just if you're out there, it's enough. And that's definitely something that I carry with me. So.
Yeah. For me, I'd done the JMT as like my intro to getting into the outdoors when I first moved to California, and I was very green to it. It was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I really got into trail running, and Gabby and I have been together for more than 3 years, and we did a through hike a couple of years ago that kind of reignited that. And doing the JMT this year, with trail running, we don't really get to enjoy the experience at the same time. We're running our own races. It's just not the same. But the awesome part about through hiking is you can really just be in nature for an extended period of time. And like, the thing about ultra running that's so cool is you dip your toes in it. You'll go for 5, 10, 20 hours, whatever it is, but it's a contained moment. But with through hiking, you really get to be in that experience, and it's just awesome. I could live out there. I really could. I felt so like true to myself and really comfortable. And I mean, our list is very long of future hikes. I'll save it, but it's just, I want to do so many more.
Nice. Yeah, we'll get to that. Hank, don't lose that list.
Deal.
Okay. Bourdain, how about you? What'd you learn out there? What was your takeaway?
Oh boy, there's so many things, but in all of our discussion, I just can't help but go back to people, the amazing people that we met along the way. There was another, not proposal, but there was a relationship that formed with Sarah, who we met, and a guy that she met along the PCT, because there were some PCTers that we met as well. You know, I'm extremely grateful for as Gabby referenced, we only had like one bad day of some weather, or maybe a day and a half, but even that was pretty mild. And the conditions, like we had maybe 2 or 3 snowfield crossings, but those were brief. I've seen photos of paths like Forester blanketed in snow and ice and sun cups, and we didn't have any of that. It was bluebird, it was sunny. And so I'm like super grateful for the condition that we got to do it, and especially for somebody like myself who this was his first foray into you know, a multi-day hike like this. And then just all the people that we met along the way, you know, and of course including Tunes and SOGO. Like SOGO in particular was extremely patient, and you know, he was basically taking care of all the logistics of planning out each day where we're going to stay, and you know, literally got on his knees at times to like help me with the dressing on my feet, which is like, you thought you were grossed out by just watching it. Elon had to like actually put his fingers on my feet, my gross, nasty feet at times. So super grateful for that guy, and for Gabby for just being another like fellow culinary, you know, soulmate, and having some fun with that, and just the people and their generous nature. And yeah, there's so many things that I remember about the actual aesthetics of the trail, and I'm glad I captured that. But at the end of the day, it came down to like the people that we met are like temporary friends, but within those like 48 hours or 72 hours we got to spend with somebody like Kyle, Spicy Data, like you really get to know them, and just be really, you know, you just share everything. There's nothing, like you said, there's nothing kind of that we keep harnessed close to us as we would in like regular society. When you're out in nature, you're just like, fuck it, just tell me about your life, tell me about your heartbreak, and tell me about the good moments. And it was just, there's so many things again, but the people that we met, like they were just, it was perfect for what we went through. And I'm glad we got to experience that.
Yeah, you bring up an important point there that, you know, you really open up on the trail with, you know, whether it's the people you're hiking with or people you come across. I mean, there's an instant bond there, it seems like, and people really open up. And a great example of this, and I'd encourage each of you to maybe take this opportunity to read this book. It's called Journeys North, written by Barney Scout Mann, who with his wife hiked the PCT in 2007. And the stories that he pulled out of other hikers that, you know, maybe he hiked with just for a few days, you know, he hiked maybe the majority of the trail with somebody, but the stories and the way that people open up is really just stirring. I mean, it really makes an impression. So outstanding book. Any thought by any of you to longer trails like the PCT or the AT?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we want to.
Colorado Trail, AT, PCT, Camino. Just see them all. It's the best way to see a new place, I think.
Nice. Nice. Bourdain, I didn't see a head nod.
No, I was thinking about this because the beauty of like ultra marathons, which is my only point of reference really to anything like this, is that we have this thing called runner's amnesia, right? Like you're miserable in the moment, you can't wait until you're done, but as soon as you're done, you're like, all right, what's the next adventure? Sign me up. And you forget about the temporary pain that you were in and sometimes the misery, but there are some beautiful moments too, don't get me wrong. So I don't know. Not that
I also did like one of the most difficult ones first, you know? You definitely cut your teeth on a very strenuous, like you're away from, like there's a long, DMT is a long stretch of not being able to, interact with civilization. It's not all through hiking. It's not like that.
But so in reflecting upon this period, this super unique period in our lives, that is a pandemic, the global pandemic, this will definitely be one of those things that stand out, is that it afforded me this opportunity that I probably otherwise would not have done, quite honestly. And one of those things that I keep talking about, like this can that I keep kicking down the road, but it took several things coming together at once to be able to do this. Like, Elon, your business is at the time, it was like a 24-hour a day, like you got to be there type of thing. But when the pandemic forced him to curb some of the business or to shut it down entirely, and he had to pivot into getting a 9-to-5 job again, like they allowed him to take these 2 weeks off, which was like another reason why we had to like really cram it in. It took all these things. And like for me, I'm usually on the go, like traveling because of work. And it was like a forced slowdown that actually allowed me to say like, oh wait, I could actually do this thing. So all that being said, I don't know. I'm still feel like I'm fairly close to it. I love the idea of like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 or 5 day adventures to do something like the JMT again. I definitely know like how to approach it this time a lot better. So I will never say never. Something like the PCT will never happen for me, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how I feel by the time summer comes around again. I would love to do like the TRT and things of that but yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, there's so many out there that Billy's gonna do. Like the Ray Lakes Loop in the Eastern Sierras, 40-some miles, nice weekend, like.
But I absolutely love the simplicity of it. Yeah. All you're doing is you're making miles, you're putting calories in, you're treating water, and you're going to sleep, and you're waking up and doing it all over again. There's something about that was just so perfect at the time. And had I not been so miserable, like for half of the trip, I probably would look back on it with more like rose-colored glasses. But yeah, I think I will definitely do it. I just don't know what that is yet. It definitely needs to inspire something within me, like the John Muir Trail did and the Eastern Sierra in general.
You're still probably remembering your foot pain, and that'll go away, and you'll start looking at those pictures and watching the videos again, and it'll come back, and all of a sudden it's going to hit you. It's like, I need to go back out there. For
sure. Yeah, I have no doubt.
Nice. Now, Billy, I wanted to ask you, and I forgot earlier, what was your goal in making the documentary, and did you accomplish that goal? I know it's had a ton of views on YouTube. I think it was over 215,000 views last time I checked. What kind of impact has that had on you? So a lot of questions right there. First, yeah. the purpose of making the film.
I'll start with the purpose first. Honestly, like if we had 200 people viewing it, I would have been just fine. Like for me, this was really, the length of it was quite unusual for my typical projects. I try to tell more of a concise story, but one of the things that I found with these through hiking videos in the condensed period of time when I was really absorbing YouTube content was that I just loved watching through hiking videos. They're so calming, and the longer they are, the better. So I said, to hell with it. I'm not gonna really filter it. And to be honest, there was like 14 days of footage. So it was like about as condensed as I could do. But like some of the food review videos, I would just like let them run a little bit longer, or there's some silliness of like me filming like how to poop in the woods or how to poop in nature. I took all these little side steps or off ramps in telling the story, but I just wanted to like show people like what is possible, that you don't need much to enjoy yourself. Actually, the more simply you can live, the more happy you can be at times. And for us out there, it was just about sharing the beauty of the JMT. And I want to be careful about that because I'm also trying to be conscious of like impact. Like when on Instagram now, I've stopped like geotagging all the places I go to, because as much as I want to show like this place is awesome. Like I want to be cognizant of that. But you know, the John Muir Trail, everybody knows about. There's 1,000,001 documentaries out there, but I just wanted to tell it from my perspective and be honest about it, be raw with it, the do's and don'ts, if you will, and then just like the beauty of like people helping each other out on their journeys, and just reminding people of that, especially in the global pandemic where we're all like hypercritical and hyper judgy, that you know, there's a way to escape, and a way to escape responsibly, and we did it, and it was awesome, and it was miserable at times, but it was awesome, and that's like, it's like life packed into a 14-day trip.
Yeah, I would agree. It was pretty raw at times. There's a lot of raw skin on your feet. So with that number of views, has there been an impact? Have you guys gotten a lot of feedback, each of you, the three of you?
We've definitely, so for me as the filmmaker and the creator, I've definitely reached a different audience than I normally would, which is nice. And I think most people are helpful. Some were, like I said, 99% of the comments were like super positive. I love all the comments, seeing them about like not expecting the proposal at the end, and being pleasantly surprised by that, which is really nice. And thought it was a nice little button at the end. Yeah, I don't, you know, the view count, it's great that people are finding it. I don't really care. I don't put my barometer of success on like number of views a video gets, but I'm glad people are finding it. I hope their takeaway is like what the human spirit is capable of, rather than like, here's this guy bitching about his blistered feet for, you know, 30 minutes of the video. Yeah, so it's like the through hiking community, they're lovely people. I'm glad I'm you know, it's like reaching them, and maybe people who are considering it, or maybe people in the ultra running community who see through hikers in a brand new way, and hopefully give them the respect that they deserve, because it is not easy. As somebody who thought like from a physical standpoint this would be super easy, or not super easy, but just like hiking several miles a day, no problem, I was humbled real quick. And yeah, I think it shows.
Nice. SOGO and Tunes, how about you? Any feedback from your appearance in the film?
I mean, just from immediate friends and family, they loved being a part of the proposal, which we're so indebted to Billy for, and we really love it. And also, just on a personal note, I think I've mentioned on this podcast, I'm a run coach, a run and fitness coach, and so I've actually gotten a few new clients and athletes from those who have watched Billy and love him and watched his videos, and they've since found me, and I feel so fortunate to have connected with them, and a whole new gamut of athletes too, not just runners, but those interested in just moving a little more, or potentially training up for a through hike. And it's been really neat. I've been feeling really grateful for it. So
Very cool.
yeah.
And well, they're both, I think, being too modest too. Yeah, it's really cool to see how much, you know, people are reaching out to Gabby too, and like she's an amazing coach. So it's awesome to see like her being able to connect with people. And like Billy's video was on Gear Junkie, which is so dope. Like I do agree, and Billy's a genuine creative while I'm a genuine marketer. And you know, some things that have millions of views are really stupid, but it's a positive affirmation of your skill and good work that a lot of people enjoy it. And so like I get satisfaction out of seeing both of those things. My life is exactly the same, but some people seem to think I am like well spoken because of the proposal, but that was a 2-minute blip of my life for sure.
Very good. Well, you've been well spoken tonight, so you haven't let us down.
Nice.
Very good. Now, Billy, Bourdain, Billy, you also have a podcast, the Billy Yang podcast, and you also have a YouTube channel. Maybe it's more than a YouTube channel. It's called Billy Yang Films, with close to 100,000 subscribers. What kind of content can people expect to find on both your podcast and your YouTube channel?
So it's not necessarily pigeonholed to one thing. I mean, the central theme around it is obviously endurance, because that's what I love and that's what I set out to show. But hopefully, as you can probably tell from this podcast, I do things where there's a lot of time to think, and I like thinking both macro and micro, kind of contemplating life. So there are a couple of videos where at the end of the year, I do like a end of year recap of some of the adventures I got to go on, but also tell a bigger story and what it all means for me anyway. And, we'll see what happens from this year. This year obviously wasn't as active, but there were definitely more meaningful outings and travels that I got to experience anyway. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. I definitely tied more towards like the trail and ultra running scene, but I try not to be limiting in that regard either. And the podcast is more or less the same. I mean, a lot of ultra running athletes, but occasionally I'll bring on some creatives, I'll bring on some entrepreneurs, things that I'm interested in. And the one thing I haven't really explored that much yet is things in the culinary world, which I'm also passionate about. Like I said, Bourdain was a big time hero of mine. And from a spiritual standpoint, everything that he was interested in, short of running for hours on end, he was my spirit animal. So all things travel, all things food, and just people. And I think that was a central theme of his shows too, is that it was really about the conversations that you had around the dinner table or around the kitchen that really made him stand out. So yeah, that's kind of the spirit of the channel and the podcast.
Nice. Now for each of you, what's the longest race you've ever run? What's the longest ultra?
Hundreds.
100 miles, yeah.
100 miles?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
102.
102. Can you do better than that, Billy? Longer than 102?
Nope, 100 miles.
Okay, very good.
Hey, Doc, what were the two guys you had on who ran the John Muir Trail in less than 6 days?
Yeah, so Gabe and Kevin, I saw on a Facebook post that they had done the John Muir Trail in just under 6 days. It was like 5 days and 22 hours. And they met each other doing the Moab 240.
Oh yeah.
And decided that they were going to run the John Muir Trail. And Gabe's wife actually said, you only have a week to do this. So they said, oh, we're just going to run it. We'll do it in a week. No problem. And so they get to the John Muir Trail and they quickly realize that they are not going to be able to run the John Muir Trail, but they still only have 7 days to do it. So rather than have a quick speed in their daily hike, they had to hike longer hours. So they hiked, they get up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning and hike until 10 at night. And they got it done.
Next year, I'm going to try to go back. I was hoping to do it actually towards the end of this summer, but we all got smoked out for the Sierras. But I'm going to go back and try to go sub 4 days. I want to give it a good fast effort.
Really? Okay.
You going to get people to resupply you, or how are you going to handle that?
Yeah, I'll either do it, supported with a couple of resupply points. I mean, 4 days is mostly just a continuous effort. So, go pretty light, 10 pounds on my back. I kind of planned it out post this trip because I just had the bug and that was there was no races to do and I felt really fit, and then the smoke came in. So I kind of have all the gear. So,
so SOGO, do you know what is the FKT on the JMT?
Too fast. It's a amazing Frenchman, Francois Dehaene. It's like 67, 68 hours. So I'm fit.
I thought it was 60 in the 60-hour range. Yeah.
It's got to be just continuous motion.
It is. I mean, sub 3 days is just bananas. Abby
Mitchell, but she didn't set the FKT, but she got really close.
Yeah. Abby Mitchell, a woman, just went out this year, and that was during the smoke.
Yeah.
And she put down an amazing female time. So
4 days, I think, something really cool.
4 days would be pretty epic. Under 100 hours is kind of like my benchmark for like, wow, that'd be incredible.
Yeah. Now I know Chopper has been waiting all episode to see if I was going to work this question in, and I am not going to disappoint him. So any inclination on the part of any of you to do the Barkley marathons?
Oh, fuck no.
Heck no.
It's Doc's favorite show in the world. Anything associated with the Barkley Marathon.
It's a very unique world in itself, and I think ultra running is a big umbrella, and that part of ultra running, it's you gotta love pain for pain's sake. And I mean, I love the beauty of it. I love testing myself, but we have a mutual friend that's been on Billy's podcast, Guillaume Calmet, that's been out there a few times, and I don't know what's wrong with him. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's a subculture within a subculture, and there's a tipping point where it's just like crazy for crazy's sake, and I consider Barkley among that kind of event. Although I would say that some of the, there are people that I respect immensely that do it and run it and do really well at it. And I understand the kind of, I don't know, like it definitely came into the pop or the, what's the term I'm looking for? Not pop culture, but just like the lay masses, like they know about this because of the documentary and now everyone asks about it. But yeah, I kind of shake my head alongside that. Going through Briar Brush and just,
it doesn't look fun.
It's not fun. And I think we all do it to be inspired, because to tie it all together, we all love nature. We love big vistas and just natural beauty, and Barkley just does not fall under that category. I'm sorry.
It's like
Doc just loves the Barkley. Just
man.
loves it.
The concept.
I loved it after I watched the first documentary, The Race That Eats Its Young, and then I was talking to Brendan Leonard, and he said, "Oh, there's a second documentary you have to watch. It's called Where Dreams Go to Die, or I think it's Where Dreams Go to Die." Yeah, there's a story of Gary Robbins and his attempt to finish it, and oh my gosh, it's just painful.
Yeah, it's that one. It's fringe even for ultra running, but I think something about the edges of the ultra running seem to be the most popular to people, at least an awareness standpoint. Like Badwater, some of the 200s out there now. It's a lot. I will say Lazarus Lake, the race director for that one, is a very unique individual, and like yeah, he has some other races, Big's Backyard, which is like a 4 mile loop that everybody competes against each other, and so you just keep going, do a 4 mile loop every hour until there's just one person left. And like, it's cool that, I think under the ultra running umbrella that there's all these different things of like just challenging yourself, but I'm not doing that one anytime soon.
Yeah. So the episode we're doing right now is season 2, episode 7, I believe. Yeah. So season 2, episode 1, I talked to Michael Wardian. He won the pandemic backyard ultra this year, right? And he was one of the outsiders of the year for Outside Magazine. And it was during the course of my conversation with him during the episode that I found out that he had done the Barkley. He had done it twice. He didn't finish the race, but he participated in it twice. And his tales of what he went through, I mean, I was beside myself that I was finally talking to somebody who had done the Barkleys. I was really excited to hear from him firsthand, and he did not disappoint. It was incredible.
Bourdain is about as nice a human being as you'll find. And that's the other thing. It's like, it's kind of hard to be an ultra runner and an asshole at the same time. Or I'm not saying we're not void of any, but there are very few. And I find it the same to be true for thru hiking as well, is that, you have to have a certain amount of, empathy and compassion to be out there. Like what it's like to suffer, what it's like to put in, multiple hard days. And man, Wardian's at the tip of the spear when it comes to people like that. He's just such a genuinely nice guy. I love that guy to death.
Yeah. And so humble. I mean, he's got like as much experience as he gets, and super down to earth. And he fails the Barkley. I mean, if Wardian can't finish Barkleys, it's too hard.
Yeah. Well said. Hey, before we move on, SOGO, I know you had a list of things you wanted to try next. You mentioned Ray Lakes. You mentioned the Tahoe Rim Trail. What else is on your list of planned hiking outdoor activities?
Big through hikes to come for us. The PCT and the Pacific Crest Trail and the Appalachian Trail in terms of the states are high up there. I mean, I would love to do the Colorado Trail next year. It's about 500 some miles. Continental Divide, I don't know as much about it, but I've been reading a little bit more about it. That'd be pretty cool. The Camino, I haven't put it out to Gabby yet, but we're not going to get married, until probably 2022. It'd be pretty cool to do the Camino for our honeymoon, because it's like a glamping version of through hiking. You get to stop in all these towns, eat great food. So the Camino, and then I'd love to do a tour around Mont Blanc. Billy's gone out there like every year, last handful of years, and just he's told me about it too many times. And Gabby is French, so like I would love to get out there. So that list I feel like will get me to like 40. So I got enough things.
Actually, the Tour de Mont Blanc and El Camino, or the Camino, whatever it's called.
Santiago.
Yeah, those two are high up on my list too, for exactly those reasons.
See, he's gonna do it.
Yeah,
He's
He's already back in.
we got our crew, JMT Volume 2. We're coming back.
Nice. And if you guys ever need to do some research, you can listen to some episodes on the podcast. I've talked to triple crowners out there with some great information on the AT, the CDT, PCT. We've had some folks who have done the Camino come on and talk about it. So there's a lot of great stuff, really, just to stir the imagination and get that wanderlust going.
Yeah, all you need with me is to just like throw in some food, like some really, to be able to drink some wine and to eat some really delicious gnocchi or sandwiches. Like I'm in. And if you have to,
with some
all you have to do is,
Tapatio
like,
packets.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any that you'd recommend for us from all your knowledge?
You hit it on the head right there with the ones that you mentioned. I'm a little bit jealous because I want to do the Tahoe Rim Trail, and I know that you've done that, so that's something on my list.
Yeah, it's a great one. And logistically so easy because it's a loop. You don't have to deal with the point to point. It's so nice.
Right. Hey guys, you know where we are?
Where's that?
Oh.
We're at that time of the episode where I ask you for your pro tip insight of the week. Who wants to go first? Who's got some pearls of wisdom to share with our listeners to make their next trip that much better?
I have one for the ladies.
Okay.
Oh.
It's a two-parter because I am for both.
Wait a second. Toon says, I've got one for the ladies, and Bourdain says, oh.
Yeah, I love you, Billy. It's okay.
Let's see where this goes.
Bring tampons, even if you don't think you're going to get your period, or bring some sort of whatever to keep it clean, because my lovely companion Bourdain actually bartered for me on my behalf. He asked these two women who were coming up, because he was in front of me at the time, if they had tampons, because I didn't have any, and they gave me some, which was really, really sweet, in exchange for a Snickers bar.
Nice.
So
remember that part earlier in the episode? Remember that part earlier in the episode when we said there are no secrets out there?
There are no secrets out there.
That's right.
Yeah, and make sure if you are a lady hiking the trail, or if you identify as female and you get a period, wear underwear that is breathable, not cotton, because you don't want to get a yeast infection or anything that could take you off the trail. And I wish I had read more about that, or I wish people had talked about it more. It's really not glamorous, but yeah, it's important to look after yourself in that way. So
got it. Tunes.
That one.
Tunes. That's the first pro tip we've had along those lines. So congratulations.
Well, there are a lot of different channels and things on Facebook that are just for women for stuff like that, and it's always people direct. It's like, just go to that one. All the tips and everything's on there.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
Billy?
You gonna top that one, Billy?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to male problems, God, what would I recommend? I would say I really liked the fruit roll-ups as currency. So I want to expand upon that, and just like anything that you will A, enjoy yourself, but B, could potentially be used as currency, or to gift people. Yeah, let's say gift people, because I don't want to like make this a quid pro quo type of thing. And yeah, just any little thing that won't weigh your pack down, that will bring you some joy. Like for me, it was condiments. Tapatio, like I would bring taco sauce or hot sauce. Like sriracha is a game changer, and it just elevates your meals by a full, if you watch the video, like a full point and a half, and they're game changers, and it doesn't weigh your pack down too much. So definitely those little individual condiments, pack some of those before your trip, or fruit roll-ups. The grits that you picked up was also great, Gabby. I wish I had more of those at the start of the trip. And just all these little things, like what else?
Mio.
Oh, the Mio. People know about the Mio, but the Mio was huge as well. And then, and the hot chocolate. Hot chocolate
At the end of the night.
end of the night was awesome. So I can't thank you guys enough for that. And you know, little nips of whiskey.
All the little things to add to the diet out there. Very good. Very good. All right, SOGO, what do you have for us?
Mine's maybe a little more boring or conventional, but I think if you really want to get into thru hiking, the devil's in the details. You really got to plan it out. There's a lot of little things, you know, a lot of the issues that we had were just, they're not everything is controllable, but they're things that, you know, are within your power. And the more you plan, the more thorough you are, the more you learn from your trips. And both Gabby and I tried to journal after, just like, these are things that worked and these are things that didn't work, so that, because you only want to remember the good things, and they are, you know, all learning experiences. And it is real out there. You know, people do get injured and make mistakes. And so I just plan it. You know, the more effort you put into prep before the trip, the better it's going to be during.
That's great. That's great. Chopper, how about you? I'm going to give you a chance too.
Oh, I didn't know I was going to be
I know. I'll put you on the spot.
Paying attention for most of the conversation today. No, I agree with you, Lon. It's just, there's a lot more involved than you realize. And just, you know, do the research, there's plenty of books, there's plenty of videos. I kind of stumbled across Billy's YouTube video to start, and there's hundreds of them out there. It was a great watch, but you learn so much from just watching things like that and reading all the books and all the different posts and blogs and things. It definitely gets your head around it before you see it. It helps.
All right. Great tips all the way around. So there you have it. That's it. Season 2, episode 7 is in the books. I hope our listeners enjoyed our time with Bourdain, SOGO, and Tunes. I want to thank them for joining us this week. Guys, how can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your latest adventures?
At Billy Yang on Instagram, BillyYangFilms.com, or Billy Yang Films on YouTube is the best way. I'm also on Strava. You can find me there, Billy Yang as well. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Without nearly as big of an audience, you can also find me on Instagram at Gabby Modier, or if you just search GabbyModier.com, my website and blog will come up.
And if you want to see lots of great pictures of our dog Penny Lane, you can find me on Instagram at Elon J. Lever.
Yeah.
Or just follow Gabby. She's the cooler one of our couple for sure.
Nice. Remember to check out the pod on social media as well. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you have comments or clips you want to share, you can send it to me at johnfreakinmuir@gmail.com. All right. That's a wrap from the John Freakin' Muir studio. Any shout outs to anybody out there, guys?
I have one shout out, if
Okay.
she's listening. One of my athletes, Morgan, is a huge fan of Billy's and wants to hike the John Muir Trail. And she told me she would kill me if I said this out loud. So this is a shout out to her. I love you, Morgan.
I want to shout out Spicy Data. I want to shout out Sierra and all the gang that we met early on, and to all the generous souls that we met along the way, from tampon exchanges to ibuprofen swaps or iodine pills. You all helped out a lot, so I'd be remiss in not shouting them out.
Nice. Is Spicy he did the PCT, right?
Yeah.
Section hikes, yeah.
Oh, he's section hiking the PCT.
I think he was going to do the whole thing, but then with COVID, he was only doing a portion because he couldn't start initially.
And bear bait and stage fright.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The two best names ever, these guys in the bear bait and stage fright.
Yeah, bear bait and or stage fright gave you the powdered milk, right?
Yeah, so I can't believe I didn't tell them out earlier. Indebted to them.
I got one. We very, very close friends of all of ours, Keith and Jasmine.
Oh, of course.
We stayed with them up in Mammoth before and after. They dropped us off at the start, picked us up at the finish. You know, we didn't talk about it a ton, but we did make very COVID safe plans, quarantine before. They were very isolated. Billy we got tested. Like, And we really couldn't have done the trip without them, because when we started, the shuttle wasn't running. So Keith and Jasmine made our trip.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Very good. Chopper, how about you? Any shout outs or final thoughts there?
I'm just the guest here today. Just happy to be part of it.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if your feet are hamburger and you still got 10 miles to go. The trail is the trail. Embrace the suck.